On July 29th, Jon Jones reemerged as a UFC champion, beating Daniel Cormier for the second time. Jones captured the light heavyweight championship also for the second time. Jon Bones Jones joins me now, brought the belt, the champ is here. What was the first thought that went through your mind when you beat Cormier for the second time?
Finally. Yeah, it was such a long road to get back to having my championship back, and it was just like, finally, man. Like, just so much went into being back in this arena. I went through a little period where I just couldn't do anything right, and obviously realized that I was ruining a wonderful career. Got my head out of my butt, and I knew that winning the fight would be a huge step in the direction that I'm trying to head, which is getting the respect back and amongst my peers and fans and whatnot. So it was redemption, 1,000%. That's what it was.
Do you feel like you got the respect? Now it's been a couple of days. Is it instantly back for you?
Yeah, the support has been tremendous. I had every position, every kind of right to just be a real jerk in that moment. And the guy's on national TV crying in front of millions of people, and I handled it with grace and tried to help him out, even though he's one of my biggest rivals. And I think people really respected that. So I'm super grateful to have loyal fans and just such a strong support base. You
said, this is a quote from you, "It's a freeing feeling when so many people see you as a piece of bleep." Why is that?
Piece of bleep. No, I'm joking. Why is that? It's just been a really freeing feeling to be imperfect. A lot of times people put athletes or TV personalities or whatever on this pedestal, and they expect us to almost not be human in a way. They expect so much out of us, be my entertainer. But I also want you to be a role model for my kids, and I want you to, be the athlete I want you to be. And people don't realize that at the end of the day, we're human beings. And losing respect amongst so many people, it allowed me to stop caring, to learn how to not care about other people's expectations and being everything that everybody else wants you to be. And it allowed me to just to start at ground zero and just kind of work myself back up into the person that I want to be.
How did that factor into the fight? So you mentioned that you felt like you handled that with grace. Him crying, basically said, I can't beat him. What's your relationship like now?
So I haven't spoken to him since the fight. I would imagine deep down he doesn't like me still. I mean, this fight meant everything to him. It's his life work, and the fans are so brutal. They put his whole athletic career on this one fight. It's like, dude, you never really were, because you couldn't beat the number one guy. And so I know it has to be hard for him to be listening to kind of the fans, and there's been so many memes that I've been seeing on the internet of him crying and stuff like that. So I'm sure he has to have some type of sore feelings when it comes to me. But I would love to be at a place with him where we can respect each other, work together. I can show up to his charity events in the future. Same he could do for me. I would love to have that open, communication with him, because we've been a part of each other's lives for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's been the only thing I've talked about for 2 years, and vice versa. So I mean, I feel connected to him forever, and it'd be nice to be able to call him up and just check on him here and there and have respect.
The UFC apologized for interviewing him after the fight because he was concussed. But what was your read on that? Was that post-fight interview, was that fair?
I think the fans deserve to see Daniel in that raw state. It is kind of unfair to Daniel, but to the fans, I'm sure they love to just be able to see the raw emotion that goes into it. It was just so real, and that's the UFC's slogan. Our slogan is that UFC, we're as real as it gets. So it was very real, and I'm sure the fans really appreciate it. I could see how if you're in Daniel's camp, you hate that moment, but to the fans, I think it was just such a real, raw moment, and most people are grateful to see it.
You challenged Brock Lesnar after the fight. What's it going to take for that to happen?
Before he could ever get back into the sport, he had to finish his suspension and rejoin our drug testing pool. So he has 6 more months of that he owes before he's able to compete again. So the Brock Lesnar fight is a very realistic thing. Just the sooner he gets back into the drug testing pool, the faster we can get this fight underway.
I mean, what about Stipe Miocic? I mean, is it a challenge that you want to take on personally to try to win in 2 different weight classes?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to be the heavyweight champion of the world. Right now, he's doing a tremendous job. He's looking extremely impressive. I've actually never really studied him as an opponent, so I kind of naturally shy away from the fight, but I do that with everybody until I really study them and realize where I can beat them. But with a guy like Brock Lesnar, it's just such a win-win situation where fighting a guy like Stipe is relatively unknown to the general public. I mean, only hardcore MMA fans know who he is. Where Brock Lesnar, I mean, that will get everybody excited, which ultimately generates some serious numbers for myself in the UFC.
If you fought Brock Lesnar, this would be reach so much further than just a UFC audience.
Yeah.
With what Conor's now doing against Floyd, I mean, has it changed what it means to be a successful MMA fighter?
Absolutely.
Is it no longer just good enough to be the champion of your weight class?
Right, absolutely. I think for some athletes, some people are complacent. Well, not complacent. Some people are satisfied with just being in the UFC. I've always been a guy who wants to be a winner in the UFC and be a champion of the UFC. But yeah, Conor McGregor has definitely shown us that you could be the champion of the UFC, or you could be a champion of 2 weight classes, or you can break out and have these mega fights that don't even really make sense. But just doing what the fans want to see. What I'm learning from Conor is if you do what the fans want to see, the money's gonna come. So for me, having fights where I fight this guy who's super respectful and he doesn't say anything controversial or he doesn't build up this fight, it's like, I'm not really interested in that anymore after watching Conor McGregor blow up. Now I'm interested in making those brash, controversial statements.
Do you have to become a character though?
A little bit. I mean, that's kind of what it takes, and that's
Yeah.
the main reason why I called out Brock Lesnar, because it's taboo. It's a circus show, but I think it's going to make big numbers.
You've admitted to me before that your troubles in the past, those 2 difficult years, you said you went Hollywood. You kind of just lost yourself. Now you've gotten back into the good graces of the public after this win. Can you already feel the temptations coming back, even in this short amount of time?
So it's only been a week since I got the World Championship back, and I do see possible wrong avenues presenting themselves. I went out not too long ago, and everyone in the bar wanted to buy me a drink. Where, for a while, I was used to kind of being the successful guy or whatever in the group and buying everybody shots, being that guy. And now it's been a complete 180 where everybody's trying to buy me shots now. Everyone wants to buy me drinks and hang out with me. Even on my cell phone, I have about 500 text messages that I haven't been able to reply to yet. Phone's constantly going off as it is right now. But I don't really feel like I am like I'm at any risk of going down the avenues that I went down before, because I realized the level of destruction that can be caused by getting caught up in that lifestyle.
Do you feel like maybe deep down, maybe it's a little closer to the surface, is there a self-destruct mode that's there? Is that a fair question to ask? Is there something there?
Not in me anymore. There was a moment in my career, like when I was younger, I almost did accept doing self-destructing things, but somewhere in my head I was doing it to challenge myself, to see what type of things I could fight through, what type of adversity I could fight through. I almost felt like I had to have cards stacked against me in order to really perform at a high level. So I would drink before fights, and I would just do stupid stuff before fights to see how much I really got. I became a millionaire at age 23, and it can do something to a person who was never trained to jump into that level of life. I used to do things to make myself feel like cards were stacked against me, and now I've really gotten to a space in my life where I dare to be great, and I dare to put my true best self out. Because there's something that's can be really defeating when you do all the right things and you come up short. And so I used partying and things as a crutch. Now I'm daring to put my true best out there and to accept defeat or victory. And thus far, putting my true self out there has given me nothing but victory.